Stop scrolling, stop hesitating, stop asking for permission, because today is the day you choose yourself. There's some of you watching this praying for a sign, asking for confirmation, waiting on a door to open. But what if I told you, you are the door? What if the thing you've been waiting for is already inside you? You've been walking around like a question mark, hoping someone else will stamp a period on your purpose. But hear this. You don't need their approval when God has already assigned you. You don't need their applause when heaven already clapped for you. You are not waiting to be chosen. You were created to choose. Look at your life, all the moments that tried to break you, all the seasons where you were overlooked. That wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You were never meant to fit in their box because you were built to break ceilings. You've been praying for them to see you, to call you, to recognize you. But today is not about being discovered. It's about deciding. You are already qualified. Stop waiting for validation. You've been carrying gifts inside you that no degree, no title, no applause can give you. The truth is, what you carry didn't come from people, it came from God. And when something comes from God, it doesn't need the confirmation of man to be real. You're already equipped, already chosen, already set apart for the thing you're supposed to do. But too often you've let fear, insecurity, and the need for approval silence your voice and shrink your presence. You keep waiting on someone to invite you in, to tell you you're good enough, smart enough, spiritual enough, powerful enough. But deep down, you already know you are. You've just been afraid to believe it because somewhere along the way, someone told you you weren't ready. Someone told you you didn't have enough experience. Someone made you feel like you had to earn their respect before you could step into your calling. But they don't get to write your story. They don't get to hold the pen. The moment you begin to seek validation from people, you put your future in their hands. And that's a dangerous place to leave it. Your destiny can't wait on people who don't see your worth. If you keep depending on their yes, you'll never move when God says go. There is nothing wrong with growing. There is nothing wrong with being teachable and learning more. But there's a difference between growing and hiding. Growth says, I'm developing what God placed in me. Hiding says, I'll wait until they say I'm good enough. And that's the trap. You're not hiding in humility, you're hiding in fear. And fear will dress itself up as wisdom just to keep you stuck. You'll convince yourself that you're being patient when really you're just paralyzed. You'll call it timing, but it's really timidity. You keep waiting for someone to open a door for you, but you were born with a key in your hand. That key is your voice. That key is your gift. That key is your story. You don't have to be like anyone else to be powerful. You don't have to have their platform, their popularity, or their position to make impact. What God placed in you is unique to you. And when you stop comparing, when you stop waiting to be seen, you'll realize you were already qualified, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You've survived things others didn't. You've endured seasons that tried to break you, and you came out of them with wisdom, resilience, and vision. That's your qualification. Look around. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs bold, authentic voices who know who they are and why they're here. The moment you stop waiting to be validated is the moment you become dangerous to everything that ever tried to hold you back. Because you stop living for acceptance and start living from assignment. You stop chasing platforms and start standing in purpose. You stop hoping they'll see you and start seeing yourself the way heaven always did. You are not missing anything. You are not too late. You are not underqualified. The oil on your life didn't come from man's opinion. It came from divine design. It was poured before you were born. It was written in the days you couldn't see and confirmed in the nights you almost gave up. So when you feel the weight of doubt creep in, remind yourself, this isn't about feelings. This is about faith. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to move. Because the longer you wait for someone to approve what's already in motion, the longer you delay the impact you were born to make. The calling on your life doesn't need a crowd to be real. Too often, people confuse visibility with value, assuming that something must be seen by many to be significant. But the truth is, some of the most powerful assignments are developed in silence. Some of the most meaningful callings are birthed in isolation, where there's no one cheering, no one clapping, no one affirming, just you, your purpose, and the one who gave it to you. If you keep measuring your calling by how many people notice it, you'll keep doubting it every time the room gets quiet. But the quiet doesn't mean the calling isn't real. It just means it's sacred. Not every seed grows in the spotlight. Some of the strongest roots grow underground, hidden, unseen, but necessary. You don't need a crowd to believe in what God whispered to you. You don't need thousands of eyes watching for your purpose to matter. The value of your calling is not determined by how many people recognize it. It's determined by how faithful you are to carry it, even when no one is looking. There's something powerful about moving without applause, about building without validation, about showing up without recognition. That's when your calling becomes real to you, not just something you perform for others to see. It becomes part of your breath, your bones, your burden, your blessing. You might be in a season right now where it feels like no one understands what you're carrying. It feels like the weight of the assignment is heavy, and you're wondering why no one sees it. But sometimes the crowd doesn't show up because God is still forming your foundation. He's developing your character in the dark before exposing your gift to the world. He's stripping away the need to be seen so that when your time comes, you'll know how to stand without crumbling under the pressure of people's opinions. Crowds can be loud, but they're also fickle. They cheer one day and question you the next. If your confidence is built on crowd support, you'll always be chasing approval. But when your confidence is rooted in calling, you'll keep moving even when no one notices. You'll keep speaking even when no one listens. You'll keep creating even when no one claps, because you know this isn't about being popular, it's about being purposeful. It's not about being followed, it's about being faithful. The calling on your life is real, even if no one else understands it. Even if they mock it, doubt it, ignore it, or minimize it, it's still real. Even if they say you're too young, too old, too quiet, too different, too unqualified, it's still real. And it's not your job to convince them. It's your job to carry it. Sometimes we waste time trying to get others to validate what we already know deep in our spirit. But the calling wasn't given to them, it was given to you. And with it came the strength to walk alone if you have to stand in an empty room and still declare the vision, to fight through the doubt and keep building what no one else can see yet. Just because the crowd isn't clapping doesn't mean heaven isn't watching. Just because the room is silent doesn't mean the assignment isn't alive. You may not have a spotlight, but you have a word. You may not have followers, but you have fire. You may not have applause, but you have an anointing. And that's what sustains you. Not the noise, not the hype, but the deep knowing that what you're doing matters. Even when it looks like no one sees. Even when the metrics don't reflect the meaning, even when it feels like you're moving through shadows, that's when you realize the calling was never about the crowd. Heaven has already approved what man keeps overlooking. You see, people often get caught up in their own limited view of what's possible. They measure your worth by their standards, judging you based on what they can see, what they understand, and what they deem acceptable. But they don't have the final say. They can't see the purpose God placed in you. They can't fathom the destiny you've been called to fulfill. The world may overlook you, dismiss your potential, or fail to recognize the greatness that lies within you, but heaven has already approved you. And when heaven approves you, nothing on earth can block the blessing that's about to unfold. People will look at you and see limitations. They will see your mistakes, your struggles, and your imperfections. They will measure you by the size of your bank account, the number of followers you have, the accolades you've accumulated, or the crowd you've impressed. But none of those things define your worth. None of those things define the approval of God on your life. Heaven doesn't care about your bank account or your social media following. Heaven doesn't care about your past mistakes or your imperfect present. Heaven sees the heart, the spirit, the potential, and the purpose you carry. Heaven sees what the world overlooks. There's a divine validation that comes from above, and it's not contingent on public opinion. While the world looks for the obvious, heaven is looking at what's unseen. The talents inside you that have yet to be fully expressed, the dreams that still lie dormant in your heart, and the courage you haven't yet discovered. Heaven already sees it all. When God chooses you, it doesn't matter who else doesn't see it. When heaven approves you, it's an approval that transcends anything man could ever give you. Too many people live their lives seeking the approval of others, constantly chasing after recognition, acceptance, and affirmation. But here's the thing. Man's approval is temporary, but heaven's approval is eternal. The world may reject you, but heaven is setting up the stage for your breakthrough. The people who don't see your value today might be the same people who look up to you tomorrow. And that's not because you changed, but because the favor of God on your life is undeniable. Heaven has already approved you, and when the time is right, those who overlook you will have no choice but to recognize the greatness that's within you. God has already stamped his approval on your life. You are not waiting for a yes from anyone else. You don't need to be validated by those who don't understand your calling. You don't need to keep seeking permission from people who don't know the full scope of your purpose. When God speaks over your life, that word is final. When heaven says yes, no one can say no. The process might be long. The wait may feel like forever, and you might experience moments of doubt and discouragement, but know this, heaven has already given you the green light. The doors may not open immediately, but trust that they will open in due time. When they do, no one will be able to deny the calling, the favor, and the power that has been placed on your life. God sees the potential in you that others can't even imagine. He knows what you're capable of, even when you're still figuring it out. Heaven is not bound by the limitations of time or space. The plans he has for you are already established, and no one's opinions can alter the blueprint. You may feel overlooked by people, but you are never overlooked by God. He has set aside blessings and opportunities for you that no one can take away. Heaven's approval doesn't depend on what others see. It depends on what God has already declared over your life. When you choose yourself, you align with God's original plan. Too many people live their lives seeking approval, waiting for permission, or hoping for validation from others. They look to the external world to define their worth and their purpose, when in reality, the only approval you need is the one that comes from within, an approval that aligns with the divine purpose God has already written for your life. The moment you choose yourself, you step into a new alignment. You stop living for the expectations of others, and you start living for the call that has always been within you, planted deep inside your soul. Choosing yourself isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of obedience to the higher calling God has placed upon you. It's recognizing that the path you walk isn't about pleasing people. It's about fulfilling a divine destiny. God didn't create you to live for others' approval. He created you to walk in your own truth, to be who He made you to be, unapologetically and without compromise. When you choose yourself, you're saying, I trust the plan God has for me more than I trust the plans others have for me. You stop doubting your worth, stop questioning your purpose, and stop allowing fear and insecurity to keep you from stepping into the greatness that was always intended for you. God's plan for your life is already set. It's not waiting for you to become someone else. It's not contingent upon your mistakes, your failures, or your shortcomings. It was written with every detail in mind, the exact place, the exact time, the exact people who would cross your path. When you choose yourself, you align with that plan. You embrace the version of you that God envisioned long before you were born. You trust that the life you're living is exactly the life you were meant to live, even if it doesn't always look like what others expect. The moment you stop trying to meet the world's standards and start living according to God's standards, you find peace in the process and confidence in your journey. Choosing yourself means understanding that you are worthy of everything God has for you. It means accepting the truth that you don't have to prove your value to anyone. God has already called you his child, and with that calling comes authority, grace, and purpose. The world may try to tell you that you're not enough, that you need to change, or that you have to fit a certain mold. But when you align with God's plan, you break free from the lies that the world tries to impose on you. You become free to walk confidently in your purpose, knowing that you are already enough because you were created in the image of God. You are not a mistake. You are not an afterthought. You are not a filler in someone else's plan. You were designed with intention, and when you choose yourself, you honor that design. You honor the fact that you were created for a purpose, and that purpose is unique to you. No one else can walk your path. No one else can fulfill the role that you were meant to play in this world. When you choose yourself, you recognize the importance of your own journey. You stop comparing yourself to others and stop trying to fit into someone else's version of success. Instead, you create your own definition of success, one that is aligned with the values, vision, and purpose that God has placed in your heart. Choosing yourself also means embracing your imperfections, understanding that God works through you in spite of them. Your flaws don't disqualify you from his plan. They are part of your story. Your challenges and struggles don't prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. They shape you, refine you, and prepare you for the greatness ahead. When you choose yourself, you stop running from your past and start using it as fuel for your future. You stop hiding from your weaknesses and start using them to empower others. You start to see that every part of you, the good and the bad, has been woven together by God to create the masterpiece that is your life. As you align with God's plan, you stop living for the approval of others and start living in the freedom that comes with knowing you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You begin to see that your true worth isn't found in what others think of you, but in the way God sees you. When you choose yourself, you choose to walk in the fullness of the life he has promised you, a life of purpose, peace, and power. Waiting is not always obedience. Sometimes it's fear in disguise. Too often we find ourselves in a state of waiting, feeling as though we are being patient, but in reality, we are simply afraid to move forward. We convince ourselves that we are being obedient to God's timing, that we are patiently waiting for the right moment, but in truth, we are paralyzed by the fear of what might happen if we take a step of faith. Fear tells us that we're not ready, that we don't have enough, that we are not capable, and so we stay stagnant, thinking that we are waiting on God, when in fact, we are waiting on our own fears to subside. We justify our inaction by saying we are being obedient. But true obedience requires action. It requires stepping out even when we don't have all the answers, even when we don't feel ready, even when the path isn't clear. Waiting can become a comfort zone, a place where we can hide behind the illusion of obedience while avoiding the discomfort of taking a risk. But God has called us to more than just existing in a holding pattern. He has called us to step into the unknown with faith, to move forward even when we don't have the certainty we desire. It's not always about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about trusting God enough to act even when everything around us seems uncertain. Fear masquerades as patience. We think we are waiting for the right time, but fear is subtly guiding our actions, or lack thereof. Fear tells us to wait until we are more prepared, more equipped, more perfect. But God doesn't call the perfect, he calls the willing. Obedience isn't about waiting for everything to align perfectly before moving forward. It's about trusting that God has already equipped you with everything you need to begin the journey. The fear that keeps you waiting is not from God. He doesn't want you to stay stagnant in the comfort of inaction. He wants you to trust him enough to step out into the unknown, to act even when your confidence doesn't feel solid, to move when everything in you is telling you to stay still. True obedience is not passive. It's active and bold. It's making the decision to move forward, even when the road seems unclear. It's stepping into opportunities even when they seem too big, too daunting, or too risky. Obedience to God is not about waiting for the perfect set of circumstances. It's about trusting that as you step out in faith, God will guide your every step. God doesn't want you to wait for the fear to go away before you act. He wants you to move in spite of the fear, knowing that His power will carry you through. You don't have to wait for all your fears to be conquered before you obey. In fact, obedience often comes in the midst of the fear, and it is through the act of moving forward that the fear loses its power. Sometimes the waiting period is not about timing, it's about trust. God wants you to trust Him enough to take the first step, even if you can't see the whole staircase. Waiting is not about standing still and hoping for things to change. Waiting is about moving forward with faith, even if you can't see what's ahead. It's about taking action despite the doubts that may come. When we refuse to act because of fear, we are essentially telling God that we don't believe He is big enough to handle our uncertainties, our flaws, or our challenges. But God is bigger than our fear, bigger than our doubts, and bigger than the barriers we place in our own minds. We often spend so much time waiting, believing we need to be perfect or fully prepared, that we miss the opportunity to act in faith. Waiting can sometimes be a convenient excuse, a way of avoiding the discomfort of stepping out of our comfort zone. But when God calls you to something, He doesn't call you to wait for perfection. He calls you to step out in obedience, trusting that He will equip you along the way. Fear tells you to stay where it's safe. Faith tells you to move forward, knowing that God will meet you in your obedience, and He will provide everything you need to fulfill the purpose He has called you to. The world is waiting on what only you carry. Don't delay it any longer. There is something unique, something extraordinary within you that the world needs. It's not a talent that can be replicated, a gift that can be borrowed, or a purpose that someone else can fulfill. You have been specifically chosen to carry this vision, this calling, and it is yours alone. Yet so many of us sit back, unsure of our own worth, doubting whether we're truly equipped to make an impact. We wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or the perfect set of circumstances. But the reality is that the world doesn't need you to wait for conditions to be ideal. The world is waiting on the gifts and talents you've been given, and it cannot afford to wait any longer. Every moment that you delay in stepping into your purpose, you delay the solution that only you can provide. The world is not looking for perfection. It's not waiting for the moment you feel ready. It's waiting for you to step into what you've been called to do. Your voice, your actions, your work, these are the things that will change the world around you. But if you remain in the shadows, if you continue to hold back out of fear or insecurity, the world loses out on the impact that only you can make. You are the missing piece to someone's puzzle, the answer to someone's question, the light they've been waiting for in their darkness. But none of that will come to fruition until you choose to act on what has been placed in you. God didn't place this calling inside of you just for it to remain dormant. You weren't given these gifts just to sit on them and wait for a more convenient time to start using them. The time is now. There are people who are depending on what you carry. There are opportunities that only you can fill. Your story, your experiences, and your unique perspective are the keys that will unlock doors for others. The world needs what you have, and it's waiting for you to move. Don't wait for the world to tell you that you're ready. You were born ready. Everything you need is already inside of you. The skills, the insight, the vision, they are already there, waiting for you to trust in them and to trust in the purpose God has set before you. Too often we delay our actions thinking that we need more training, more resources, more support. While it's good to prepare, don't confuse preparation with procrastination. You don't need everything to be perfect before stepping out. You don't need to have it all figured out before taking the first step. The world is waiting on you to start. The world is waiting on you to take that first action, to speak that first word, to make that first move. The longer you wait, the longer others will be without the help, the encouragement, or the inspiration that only you can offer. Your gift is not just for you, it's for the world. It's for the people who are looking for the solution that only you can provide. Your purpose is greater than your fear. Your calling is more powerful than your doubts. You may feel unprepared or unworthy, but those feelings don't change the fact that you were created for greatness. Don't let fear keep you from stepping into your destiny. Don't let uncertainty stop you from sharing the unique gift that you carry. Your purpose is vital to the larger picture that God is creating in the world. You are not an accident, and the world is not waiting on just anyone. It's waiting on you, on the version of yourself that chooses to believe in what has been placed in you. You were designed to make a difference, and that difference will be made only when you choose to step out and share what you have with the world. The world is in desperate need of what only you can bring. Your perspective, your skills, your heart, these are the things that will change lives, heal wounds, and bring hope to places that seem hopeless. But none of that will happen until you stop delaying, stop doubting, and start doing. Your calling is not dependent on the world's approval or on perfect circumstances. It's already been given to you by a higher power, and now it's your responsibility to step into it. The world is waiting. Don't make it wait any longer. The world is waiting for what only you can bring, and the time to act is now. Your unique gifts, your purpose, and your vision are exactly what the world needs to move forward. Don't let fear, doubt, or procrastination hold you back from stepping into the destiny that has been prepared for you. When you choose to move, you unlock doors not just for yourself, but for others who need what you carry. Remember, the world can't wait forever for you to realize your full potential. Trust that you are already equipped with everything you need to make a profound impact. It's time to stop delaying and start delivering the greatness that has always been inside of you. The world needs you. Now is your moment.